Today I am proud to announce that we are moving ahead with the first phase, the first of two phases that will happen for the redevelopment of Royal Inland Hospital. I know that the Interior Health Authority has identified, or the Health Region has identified, that this project overall could cost up to $400 million. The first phase of this will be an $80 million commitment that has to go ahead in order to enable the rest of the work to happen. So phase one will include clinic space for cardiology, neurology, renal dialysis, and respiratory programs, and Matt's going to talk about some of those in just a moment, as well as teaching space for the UBC medical program. We want to ensure that young people who are trained here, get a chance to stay here. And we certainly know from the work that we've done with the Northern Medical School over the years, that people who are trained in the community that they live in are more likely to stay in the community that they live in. That will be true, that is true for Kamloops as well. We also know that there's a need for more on-site parking, improved vehicle and pedestrian access to the hospital, and we're going to deal with that. And I can tell you, my mom spent many months with a brain tumor at Royal Columbian Hospital. I went every morning to give her a shower. I would get there at 6 in the morning, and it would be no problem parking. But I would go every day in the afternoon at about 5 o'clock to look after her at the end of the day too. And it was impossible to find parking. And you know, it doesn't seem like a huge thing until you have a loved one who's in a hospital. But the stress that comes from not being able to just find a place to park when you're already feeling pretty stressed that someone that you love is going through an incredibly tough time inside the building is really difficult. So we need to deal with that too. And we need to deal with those fundamentals in this $80 million investment to make sure that the rest of the investment can happen afterward. It will ensure that the facility is designed appropriately, that it's tendered and constructed for the least cost possible, and most importantly, it's scheduled properly to ensure that the people who are getting care here now can continue to get it as construction happens. That's why we're doing it in multi-phases. No, the decision has been made that this is going ahead. It is going ahead. The only question that they're still working through are some of the questions around the scope and the details of the project, which might change the final number on it, but it is going ahead. Well, this is just a beginning. I mean, we absolutely, the surgical tower is slated to go ahead too. Now, that's going to be a few more years away, and so that $400 million in total, as Kevin said, is notionally set aside within our long-term capital plan, but it's outside the three-year capital plan that we do. So there's still a lot more details on that to be worked on. This $80 million project needs to be done first. So we need to get this going. We need to get it underway, and then we can start working on the rest of the project. But you know what? I mean, we aren't doing phase one, except that we also want to do phase two.
Well, we have to finish the business plan, and we have to work with the city too, because there's some upgrades along Columbia Street that need to happen. So, that will affect some of the timing, but we're very hopeful that we'll have shovels in the ground in 2013 for sure.
The nurses are saying basically we're expanding service here, but they're saying there's still a shortage in nurses. We need more nurses. What's your take on it?
Well, you know what? British Columbia is going to need more nurses, more doctors, more health professionals as our population ages. And we are working through lots of those issues with the Nurses Union now at the bargaining table, as you know. And we have been continuing to work on how we can deliver care better, how we can deliver it outside of hospitals as well. And so we're starting to see some of the fruits of that. It's not it's not all going to happen right away, but I think over the coming years, people are going to see some real improvements in the way we deliver healthcare. Because I absolutely agree with the Nurses Union on the outcome that we want. I think what we need to find some agreement on still is how we get there.
This is the start. Ball's rolling. Are you going to have to keep pressure on? Where does it go from here?
Well, obviously, I think we want to keep working with
support the province, the health authority, the health ministry on moving the next phase forward as well. But this is a critical and important first step, and it's in keeping with the site master plan. So, I expect that the next steps will keep moving along as we've seen so far.
Do you feel fairly confident when they say that the rest of the 320 million, it's there, it'll happen? If we have a turnover of government,
well, I guess, I'm pretty confident with what we've seen in the past. I think certainly there's going to be that apprehension in Kamloops, given our history with the cancer clinic and the change of government and what can happen there with change of priorities. So I guess really at this point, Mr. Dix would have to answer that part of it, I guess, right? So I would like to think that regardless of who's in government, given the past history of Kamloops, they'd be mindful and respectful of the sensitivities around commitments being made and upheld.
Can you guarantee, if the NDP gets in, if they do the traditional, how the finances are lousy, that Premier Dix will not cancel this promise made today, like Harcourt did with the cancer clinic in 1990?
Yeah, I can't make that commitment at all, Angelo. That's not for me to make. That would be for the leader of the opposition to make that statement. But let me tell you that this
So you're not prepared to make a commitment
This commitment is really important, and I support it. But I can't guarantee that there are going to be other financial priorities. However, I think I will be advocating strongly for this community. I will be standing up in caucus if I'm elected, and if the NDP form government. I'll be standing up and fighting for it.